folks, this is Nancy from Paper Moon Tarot, and I want to do a flip through of the Dreamkeepers Tarot, which has been brought out recently as a mass market edition by US Games. I got it over a year ago as an independent version of the deck and liked it, so I was looking forward to seeing what US Games would do with it. There were two things about the indie deck that I didn't love. One was the card quality, the card stock, and the other was the images were kind of faded looking, you know, not as saturated as I'd like to have seen. But I love the art, and so anyway, I was looking forward to this and I'd like to share it with you. So the box is a very sturdy, I call it a thumb pull box. You know, you have to pull it out with the little thumb things here. Not magnetic. Very sturdy though, and a nice size, like a large paperback, I guess. Nice images on the back, and you'll begin to see that the images are kind of interesting, kind of quirky images, and if you've watched any of my videos, you know I like quirky. So that's all good. So let's open the box. And this is the book. When I got the indie deck, I liked the art, but I had to go back and order the book, because when you look at some of these images, it's like, okay, if you're just learning tarot, I need some help. How does this relate to traditional tarot meanings? So I got that book, but obviously US Games has come out with its own accompanying booklet. It's got grayscale images. There are some spreads in the front, and the usual, what is tarot, how do you use tarot, how do you introduce yourself to your deck kind of stuff. But it's a nice book, decent size, and let's see, 180 pages. So, good book, good packaging. The inside, we've got a little paper insert to hold the deck and a ribbon pull to pull the deck out. So that's nice. They're pretty traditional tarot card size. The backs are sort of a muted, pastel-y, intricate. It's kind of hard to see on here, the intricacies, but you know, there's a lot of pattern in here, but they're reversible. And the cardstock is, of course, US Games' wonderful, I think, cardstock. They do a really good job on that. And so, no complaints about the box or the cardstock. And so, let's take a look at the cards and see what you think. I love this deck. So, we'll start with the Fool. Now, one of the things I will do here is give you a little bit from the book on, let's start with the Fool, so you can see how the art is explained, which, again, if you're an experienced reader, you know what the Fool is, but if you're a new reader at all, or you're just someone who's saying, what's all that imagery going on here? Why is she standing on someone's head, and so on? The book actually does a really good job of handling that. So let's go to the Fool, and I will read you some of the description of the artwork, which I think is very important whenever a deck is a little bit different, where the artwork is unique and not so strictly Rider-Waite-Smith oriented. So let me read this while I hold it up. Anticipating the first step in a new adventure, she stands suspended, poised on one foot, a player in the game of life. With uncharted adventures to come, her posture is one of carefree excitement, a frozen moment in an adventurous dance of beginnings. The bell she rings summons helping spirits to her aid, and two gargoyles appear to accompany, guide, and protect her on the journey ahead. The sky all around them is dark yet clear, and even the moon is supported in this moment of potential. The Fool stands on a checkerboard, symbol of the independent nature of duality, good and bad, male and female, light and dark, and the choices between them that influence every step. At her feet, suitors from the past clamor for her attention, calling to mind love lost and love sought. Will she step off the board for an entirely new game? So that's an excerpt from the guidebook that gives you a little more insight into why this makes sense as the Fool stepping into a new game, potentially, on the checkerboard, stepping on old lovers into the next adventure. So, like I said, it's an unusual deck with unusual information to glean from it. Okay, so the Magician card in this deck is called the Creatrix. And she is manifesting energy. From the guidebook, it tells you there's the downward triangle and the upward triangle between her hands. The downward representing femininity, the male represented by the upward triangle. And so she controls all the powers, I guess, of the world, the universe. The High Priestess, I was intrigued by how she has sort of skeletal wings on her back. She has the scroll. She has horns. So you could pull a lot of things from this. The Empress, she's got like a garden on her body. She's got all the flowers on her body. She's got clouds in her cape. She's got stars in her hair, a little hat made of stars. The Hierophant has the three faces here, both sides and the front. A snake on her walking stick or cane. The Lovers is one of the more interesting cards in the deck. You've got the birds on their necks and their faces projected out towards each other. I was reminded of the phrase, "I only have eyes for you," when I saw this. My eyes are going towards you. And inside her dress, you'll see this a few times in the deck, candles, I guess. But a pretty fascinating Lover's card. The other thing I note in this deck is the time period of the dress is a lot of different things. You know, kind of Victorian, but then there are others, and in the next card, the Chariot, you'll see that that's not Victorian. So, you know, you won't see modern, but you'll see different varieties of dress. Now the Chariot has her two horses. She also seems to have a cloak filled with stars. And she's carrying two faces on either side of her, which sort of represents the dual forces that the horses represent and keeping them under control. Anyway, very interesting cards. Strength. She's coming out of an egg, being born of an egg, or the snake is, and wrapping around her. Again, strength representing having to control your inner instincts. And I don't know whether the snake is controlling her or she's controlling the snake. I'm sure you can go a lot of different ways with this deck in readings. The Hermit. Love the Hermit. Floating on top of the tree, some torn dress here as if she's climbed up this tree to get away. And there she is looking at herself, looking into herself introspectively in the clouds. And I think it probably says the Hermit pretty clearly, but in a very unique way. fates. This would be the Wheel of Fortune, and it's represented in the card name, the fates. So fortune, fate go together, and the unraveling of the dresses sort of suggests the wheel aspect of it. Justice. I like that she has, you know, scales up here and a sword, and I'm not actually sure what that is. I should look it up, but in the book. But down here, a little, what looks to me like a law enforcement officer, like a Bobby from London or something like that, old style. And she has no face, so rather than blindfold for justice, she just literally has no face. The Hanged Woman. Very obviously, this is called the Dreamkeepers Tarot, so it's a very dreamy quality to the cards. I like Death because it's a person holding a skull, and she has a skeletal arm on one side and the skull, but otherwise she's whole with the snake. The snake appears several times in this deck, and the whole thing is kind of in a cocoon, and a cocoon suggests it's just resting and going to come to life. So it's a very interesting take on death that I haven't seen in any other deck in exactly that way. Temperance. Temperance is showing these puzzle pieces flying off, almost as if these pieces go here, we'll create a balance, we'll create an equality. The two puzzles matching each other. Again, a fascinating image. And then the skeletal heron, or whatever that is, crane, in the center, and the water. You know, there's the water, and temperance is there. But yeah, it takes obviously some imagination on the part of the artist and imagination on the part of the reader. The Devil is temptation. And in this case, you know, our fallen angel and the devil, and seducing the woman in white, pure white. Not much longer. Anyway, here's the Tower, which is sort of an exploded person rather than a building, as if her dress is coming apart. She's coming apart. And I will say, I told you the cardstock is nice, just a bit nicer than the indie deck. And the images, which were a little faded in the indie deck, are better here. They're more saturated, they're more substantial coloring. So I wanted to be sure to mention that. Now the star is the image on the box cover, and shows the undercurrent, where it would be a crayfish, a lobster, whatever, coming up out of the water. This shows her subconscious underpinnings, I guess, in the skeletal aspect. And there are no dogs. Oh, that's the moon. Sorry. There are no stars that I can really see. But she is pouring the water out, sort of in the form of her dress. Anyway, I don't know. I have no solutions for all of these cards, but they're beautiful. The moon. Okay, now we're to the moon, and there are still no dogs. The lady is, again, looking at a face. This actually is one of my favorite sun cards of any deck. She's looking up into the face of the sun, and it's just so beautiful. It's not some baby on a horse, it's a beautiful lady looking into the face of the sun. Her whole outfit is diaphanous and it's beautiful. Judgment. You know, there are these bones down here. She's ascending and she's grasping these roots as she's ascending. And the world with all these tendrils going out from here to the universe. She's standing on the world, our world, and has the universe behind her, and the moon, and these many arms reaching out. Again, a fascinating take on that card. So let's take a look at the minor arcana a little more quickly. The Ace of Wands. This woman has a whole apothecary of things behind her and a cauldron to brew things. Creativity. She's going to create things here through this keyhole. Great image. It's the key to the creativity. Two of Wands. Three of Wands. See what I mean about the dress, the costumes here? That's almost Grecian versus Victorian. But anyway, Three of Wands looking out across the water with the ship. So you can tie into the traditional RWS meanings in many cases, but I wouldn't consider this a beginner's deck. Dryads in the Four of Wands. It's kind of interesting seeing the rivalry here between two women, and she's ripped the face off this woman and thrown it down. It's kind of a cat fight more than a traditional, you know, five people with wands battling each other. Six of Wands. Seven of Wands. I don't really know what this one is about. She is, I guess, defending herself with the wands. Oh, and my cat just made his appearance. He always does in videos. Standing on the couch with a bird's head. Love it. Eight of Wands. I like this Eight of Wands because it's not just the wands, the rods going through the air, but it's this person being pulled by another person through the air. So you get the motion not just in the sticks, but also in the physical people. Nine of Wands. And the Ten of Wands. She's carrying a lot of burdens. There's an alternate face there, and you know, things are sort of, her skirt is either in tatters or just more burden for her to carry. Okay, Page of Wands. Knight of Wands. Kind of a dual man who's got armor and not armor, a suit. Queen of Wands. And the King of Wands. Very dapper guy. Cups, Ace of Cups. Two of Cups is fascinating. You've got a fellow who's growing out of the ground as a tree, and the woman with him, and the two cups, and a bird's nest in his hair. Three of Cups. Four of Cups. Again, you've got these sort of floating faces, heads. Someone handing her a cup up here, and the three down here she's ignoring. Five of Cups. The Six of Cups has always been one of my favorite cup cards in a deck. It's just really sweet with the children floating along on this, I don't know what it is, creature floating through the air. It just suggests childhood to me. Seven of Cups. The choices are not just in the cups, but her head is kind of exploding in different directions, so it very graphically shows you how you feel when you can't make up your mind. Eight of Cups. Nine of Cups. And our Ten of Cups has someone resting on a rainbow. It doesn't have the traditional family, but it shows someone fulfilled in some way. Okay, Page of Cups. Two-faced, floating in a cup. And again, one of these floating faces. The Knight of Cups. Queen of Cups. She's got a moon for a head. The King of Cups also has a moon for a head. I kind of like the way these two go together. I always like it when kings and queens go together, or empress and emperor seem to be a match in a suit, or the emperor and empress. Ace of Swords, I think that's a very pretty card. Two of Swords, it's like she's got a body and a clothed body, or two different bodies. This one's shorter than that one. And the blindfold, it's the division there, the two bodies, the two swords, two sets of hands floating out here. It's fascinating. The Three of Swords, again headless, which is interesting because I always think of the Three of Swords as not heartbreak, because it's the swords is not a suit of emotions, but I think of it as a break in your thinking, in your thoughts. That's hard, you know, you're mentally anguished rather than emotionally, and the fact that this person has no head at all suggests that they're tripping over their heart for, you know, usually using their head on things. Anyway, it's just kind of interesting. The Four of Swords, I like the cat in the tree and the bird over here and the moon. This person just at rest. Five of Swords. Six of Swords, floating through the air on the back of this lady bird. Seven of Swords. She hasn't dropped two of them. Seven of Swords to me says you haven't really planned this out. You've grabbed these things and you don't really know what to do with them. She's got all of them. But I wouldn't want to hold swords that way. It would hurt. Eight of Swords. Again, this sort of open dress with kind of a universe in its side with the water and the ships. Nine of Swords. Ten of Swords. Page of Swords. Knight of Swords. The air imagery, the birds, the clouds, that horses leaping up very high into the air. This Queen of Swords, I think, is fascinating because she's like a statue. She's icy cold. She has no real warmth to her and the sword. And the King of Swords. It's got several hands going, including the pen and the sword and their connection. Just a lot of things going on. He's strategic. He's planning. The Ace of Pentacles. Two of Pentacles. She's definitely balancing not only on her toe, but she's got all these things balanced on her head. The Three of Pentacles. I never really know if this is like a jug of water, a bottle, between them holding the moon. Oh no. The Four of Pentacles. I like that it's just not hoarding coins, but there's something growing there, and it's saving. It's not just greed. To me. The Five of Pentacles. A very different feel in this for the art. Much mistier but still the traditional sitting there outside the church window. Six of Pentacles. Seven of Pentacles. It's like her head's cut off for the hat. I don't know why. The Eight of Pentacles. Nine of Pentacles. You've got your traditional garden and flowers and the lady with her 9 pentacles. It's almost like she has diaphanous wings, or maybe a cape there. Now the 10 of Pentacles I love. There's a mouse head growing out of the lady's dress, and the pentacles are these huge blossoms up here. It's just beautiful. Okay, the Page of Pentacles has almost a snake skeleton and a bird skeleton. The Knight of Pentacles, the Queen of Pentacles, very pretty card, and the King of Pentacles. So that is the deck, and I love the artwork. Again, I think it's more for people who know their tarot a bit, and once you do, you can really dive deep into these images and find things that you both know and new ideas on what you know. So I very much recommend the Dreamkeepers Tarot. The mass market edition, I think, has a little better quality in the cards, both the cardstock and the saturation of the colors in the images. So I'd highly recommend getting this one. And let me know your thoughts below. And as always, I hope you like, subscribe, and come back again. Thank you. Bye.